I would like to speak for like about 5-10 minutes about the Jihad and terrorism. And this is probably the most misconception that most people like go through, like because of what they see in the media. You know, every time we have an incident happen on the media, the first thing his name comes up, we know that he's a Muslim, right? So let's talk about jihad and who are the jihadis. Jihad comes, it's an Arabic word. It comes from the word jahada, and this is a root word. It means striving and making extra struggle. Most people look at it as it is the combatant jihad, which is, we're going to talk about that in just a second. However, there are 3 levels of jihad. The first and the greatest level that I'm going to talk about is the spiritual jihad. It is struggling against oneself, struggling against the bad habits that we do, struggling when we are, how to give to others, to be good to others, to work together as a group, to self-sacrifice towards others as well, and also to have a better relationship and closer relationship to God, Allah. It is said in the Quran, all you who have believed, fear Allah and seek the means of nearness to Him and strive, and actually it talks over, it uses the word jahidu. Jahidu from the word jihad. Jahidu is the comparative, they call it the command verb. We don't have future, we have past, present, but we have past, present and command. So strive jahidu. So strive jahidu for His cause that you may succeed. Also, when the Prophet, peace be upon him, was talking to his companions, he gave a very good instruction. He said, the greatest jihad is to battle your own soul. It's not fighting other people. It's to battle your own soul, to fight the evil within yourself. Also, he said, we're going to talk about that. The second jihad, I'm going to talk about another speech that he said after this one. So the second jihad is the verbal jihad. Is to speak against a tyrant, to speak for the rights for others, not to be scared to say the truth. When you see something wrong, you should fix it, or you should speak against it. Okay? So he said, that's what he said. He said, if you see something wrong, then change it with your hand. If you are not able, then speak against it. If you are not able, then feel bad about it and it in your heart, but know that this is the weakest form of faith. And by the way, this is not very different than the first bill of the American Constitution, the freedom of speech. That's what it is. The third jihad, so basically whoever do a freedom of speech and speak the truth is actually doing a form of jihad, which is the second form, the verbal jihad. The third one is the combative jihad, which I'm going to be talking about. Combative jihad is fighting against oppression. And what we know about the history of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he first became a prophet, he was actually persecuted. He was not fighting. However, after a while, after he gathered all these Muslims gathered around him and all this, the people, the tribes of Quraysh, the other tribes who opposed him, they are the ones who started the fighting. They start, fighting the Prophet. They start killing and persecuting all the other. So they had the right as Muslims to stand up and defend themselves, and that's what they were doing. They were defending themselves. So it says in the Quran, it says, fight in the way of Allah. Those who fight you. Those who fight you. We can't just go over there and start like slaughtering throats just because, Fight in the way of Allah, those who fight you, but do not transgress. So if someone fight me, I should fight him the same way. Do not transgress and kill his mother and his son just because, he did something wrong. Okay, so whatever you see of ISIS doing and things like that, those are considered by most, and actually all, not all, I don't want to say most, but it is actually all the scholars of the Muslims, the mainstream Islam, they are considered to be deviants. They are not considered as Muslims. Although they say themselves that they're Muslims, but they are not. Just like 500 years ago, maybe 700 years ago, the Crusades. We know about the Crusades. They did 7 campaigns all the way to Jerusalem, and they killed over 7 million people, Christians, Muslims, and Jews. By the way, I was Christian. Arab and then became Muslim, just to let you know. And I still have, my grandparents still have, and my father still have memories about how they were kicked out from, what we call now Israel, Palestine, out of their country by the Jews, by force to live in Jordan. They were taking their land, and so even they were Christians. Do you think that in war they would care if you're Muslim or Christian? It's a war. Nobody cares, what you are. So when the Crusades came, they came also and killed Christians there. They killed the Roman Orthodox over there. They killed the Roman Orthodox Christians, they were the indigenous Christians over there. They killed also Muslims. They killed Jews. They killed everybody. So, and what they did also, not only killing, they killed the kids, the children, the mothers, the elders, and they burned the crops and all that. So what they did was really a terror attack. So what we see right now, ISIS, they're not too much different than those crusades. But no one say about those crusades that they are Christians, right? We can't say that their action is a Christian action, right? We cannot say that those KKK people, that what they did in the past in history, that it was actually a Christian act. Never, right? But when a Muslim does it, we always point and put Islam in trial, right? So it says over here, fight in the way of Allah those who fight you, but do not transgress. Indeed, Allah does not like transgressors. So these are the 10 Islamic rules of war. These are derived from the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at war. He said, do not kill any child, any woman, or any elder or sick person. In other words, just fight the ones who fight you, the soldier. Do not practice treachery or mutilation. So even if someone killed, you're not supposed to, what they do, torture the body. Do not uproot or burn palms or cut down fruitful trees. Do not slaughter a sheep or a cow or a camel except for food. If one fights his brother, he must avoid striking the face, for God created him in the image of Adam. Do not kill the monks in monasteries, and do not kill those sitting in places of worship. If you go back to the Middle East, you still can see churches that they are thousands of years ago. They're still there, monasteries of the Coptics in Egypt, the monasteries in Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. They're still there, and there are people still living there. The monks and the nuns still live there. So nobody touched their monasteries because this is an Islamic teaching and rule. No one should transgress. If one fights his brother, okay, do not kill the monks. We talked about that. Do not destroy the village and towns. Do not spoil the cultivated fields and gardens. Do not wish for an encounter with the enemy. So do not be the one who starts it. You should wait until they fight, and then you fight back. Do not spoil. Okay. Pray to God to attack and do something wrong to people who are innocent. Okay, that's what terrorism is. And by the way, until now they haven't found any ground identification for what terrorism is, right? So if you look at all that, we always have these labels on that face, of the Muslim, but they're all nothing to do with the Islamic teachings. So basically also terrorism has no religion, because there's a person called Michael Reed who wrote a book called Dying to Win. He said that the first people who started the suicide bombing were not the Muslims. They were actually a communist group in India, the Tiger, group. So if you look at what is going on in the history, if you look even now what's going on, the Rohingyas Muslims, that they're being slaughtered by the Buddhists. So even Muslims are being persecuted also in the world, not only just Christian, or just like, a group of people. So terrorism really has no religion. It has nothing to do with any teachings of any religion. Okay? So this is a video that I actually collected. I actually did that video in After Effects. That's one of my majors also in school. And I would like to say it's only 50 seconds, and I think that would be it for today's presentation.
When Dylan Ruff killed 9 innocent black people, We did not question his God. When Adam Lanza shot a classroom full of first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary, we did not ask him to leave the country. When Timothy McVeigh killed 168 people in Oklahoma, we did not call this a crime against every American. When the KKK killed thousands of black people while swearing to uphold Christian morality, we did not ask them to remove their robes. We did not call all Christians bigots. Do you see it? How we don't label all white men based on the sins of a few? Do you see it? How we don't have to condemn a whole class of people based on the actions of some? Do you see it? How all the names are different? How all the faces are different? How all the people are different? Therefore, we should not condemn all Muslims for the radicalism of a group. Islam is not synonymous with terror. It is literally submission. It is devotion. It is peace. Terrorism is actually prevented, and jihad does not mean holy war. It means struggle. It means survival. It means standing face to face with everything that wants to put you in the ground and choosing to be alive. Do your research. Stop trading humanity for hypocrisy. Stop letting your fear drag you into ignorance. And lastly, as the customary greeting goes, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you. Wa alaikum assalam, and upon you be peace. Do you see it?